Arman was exhausted when he finally reached the old hotel at the edge of town. It was late, nearly 10 p.m., and he had been traveling for work all day. This small, worn-out place was the only hotel within his budget, so he didn't have much of a choice. The receptionist, an older man with a nervous smile, handed him his room key. "Room 301, he said. Then, in a low, almost whispering voice, he added, "And don't go near room 303. It's out of service." Arman found it odd, but was too tired to ask questions. He nodded and headed for the narrow elevator that groaned as it took him up to the 3rd floor. The hallway was dimly lit and eerie quiet. As he walked to room 301, he saw room 303 directly across from him. The door looked the same as the others, but a layer of dust covered the handle. A faded piece of paper taped to the door read, "Out of service." Its edges curled with age. Arman glanced at it and felt a strange chill, but he shrugged it off and entered his room. Later that night, as he lay in bed, the receptionist's strange warning replayed in his mind. He was both curious and uneasy about room 303. Just as he was beginning to doze off, a soft, muffled sound broke the silence. He sat up, listening. It was crying, low, heart-breaking sobs. His pulse quickened as he realized the sound seemed to be coming from just outside his room. He tiptoed to his door, pressing his ear against it. The crying was clearer now, coming from the other side of the hall. Room 303. Swallowing hard, Arman slowly opened his door and peered into the hallway. It was empty, but the sobbing continued, soft and sorrowful, coming from within room 303. His curiosity got the better of him. He crossed the hall and pressed his ear to the door of room 303. The crying was definitely coming from inside, and it sounded like a woman. His heart raced as he knelt to look through the keyhole, even though he knew it was wrong. At first, he saw only darkness. Then as his eyes adjusted, he made out a figure standing just a few feet away from the door. A woman facing away from him. Her long, dark hair hung down and her shoulders shook as she sobbed. He blinked, rubbed his eyes, and looked again. This time, the woman had turned around, her hollow, pale face staring straight at him. Her eyes looked empty, yet filled with pain. Arman stumbled back, his heart pounding. He rushed to his room, slamming the door behind him. He told himself it must have been his imagination, but the image of that woman's empty, haunted eyes wouldn't leave his mind. The next morning, feeling drained and uneasy, Arman headed to the front desk to check out. The old receptionist looked up from his newspaper and greeted him. Arman tried to sound casual. "Good morning, I'm checking out." He hesitated before asking, "About room 303. I thought I heard someone in there last night, a woman, crying." The receptionist's face went pale. He shook his head quickly. "That's not possible. No one has stayed in room 303 for years." Arman frowned. "But I saw her, just standing there, staring back at me. Are you sure no one's been in there?" The receptionist swallowed hard and leaned in, whispering, "Sir, room 303 has been closed for over 5 years. A young woman used to stay there often. One night, a burglar broke in through the back window. She did not survive. The police never caught the burglar. And ever since, guests started reporting strange sounds and sightings. We eventually closed the room." The receptionist gave a sad nod. "They say her spirit never left." Arman left the hotel, his mind spinning. As he drove away, he glanced back at the window's 3rd floor, half expecting to see her standing in the window. watching him leave.